Now, 1 month after a devastating 7.8 magnitude earthquake hit Nepal, killing nearly 9,000 people, the United Nations is asking the world to provide more food, aid and shelter for those left homeless. Nepal's government, which has been criticized for being slow to react, has called for more direct aid funding to help its hundreds of thousands of homeless. Now, before we break this down and look at what happens to regions such as Nepal after the world forget about them post such devastating natural disasters, let's first take a look at Gabrielle Winiger's report about the current situation in the country 1 month after that disaster.
On the 25th of April, a powerful earthquake rocked Nepal's capital, Kathmandu, triggering tremors across the region. At a magnitude of 7.9 on the Richter scale, the tremors continued for up to half an hour, collapsing several buildings in the city centre. Reports of fatalities began to trickle in within 10 minutes of the quake, but the toll climbed drastically with every passing moment. 2 hours later, and reports of an avalanche on Mount Everest. Base Camp 1 was entirely swept away. Within 9 hours, the death toll surpassed 1,000 across 4 countries. Within 12, it stood at 2,000, with 500 injured, and counting. Hospitals across the nation struggled to cope with the dead and injured. And it wasn't over. The earthquake was followed by a large number of aftershocks, including a major quake on May 12th that struck east of the capital, bringing down buildings and unleashing landslides. The UN appealed for $423 million for basic relief, but 1 month later, and less than a quarter of that has been raised. And there is only a small window of opportunity to get those supplies delivered, ahead of the annual monsoons that begin next month. Nepal says reconstruction will cost around $7 billion, but for now, those longer-term development projects are on the back burner, while residents try to recuperate from the deadliest calamity the nation can remember.
Now, we are very happy to also be joined in studio by Dr. Ada Gansach, an architect and a Nepal specialist. Dr. Gansach, and am I pronouncing your name right?
Gansach.
Gansach, that would be better for me. Dr. Gansach, okay? Yes. And of course by Dr. Parash Shrestha.
Yes.
I don't want to butcher your name as well, Parash Shrestha. And you are clearly, from Nepal as well. Mm-hmm. Now let's take a look first of all at Dr. Gansach. I want to start with you. You are spearheading also this effort to try and bring awareness into what's going on in Nepal right now, especially a month after the earthquake.
It's actually, we are trying to raise awareness and also get help as much as we can to pass it on to the people on the ground in Nepal, to do whatever they can, because a lot of organizations in Nepal are rising after the earthquake to help of Nepali people to help themselves organize privately in all sorts of ways. To reach the villages that have not had enough help or that need more to get the second stage after the earthquake, which is really to start coming back on the feet and reconstruct themselves. Yes.
Now, Dr. First, I want to ask you, where were you when the earthquake happened?
Actually, I was in the capital, Kathmandu. Actually, that was a Saturday. It's a holiday there. So we were in a meeting. I was not working, actually. So we were in a clinical meeting in a hospital. And when it happens, I have to come out of the hospital, could not leave the premises because the shocks were coming. So I left about an hour from the hospital, rode a bicycle to my house to see everything okay. Then after that, I took the scooter, the small two-wheelers, down to my hospital only after 3 hours after it happened, because there was no way I could travel. I don't know when the shocks are coming. People would not let us travel. So within 3 hours to 4 hours, I was in my hospital. Then I saw all the disaster coming in one after another. It was like never seen such thing in my life.
It's terrifying, and I want to ask you because when the world was covering the earthquake, coast to coast, so to speak. Globally, everybody dealt with it, and I'll be very honest, we journalists, when something like this happens, the pictures are so strong, so everybody reports it. It's been a month, though, since the earthquake.
True.
And there's always a feeling that the world forgets. When it comes to donations, for example, what does Nepal need at this stage a month on? Because it's going to take years to rehabilitate,
True.
right?
Well, yeah. I'm a medical doctor. From my perspective, some of our hospitals are a little bit damaged. We are not able to use the building itself. Some of the buildings are still under inspection, so we may have to demolish some of the main buildings of, like my hospital. One of the main building where we put our inpatient is not really functional. We have to shift every patient and every equipment out of the hospital. Luckily, we have one spare new building which was upcoming, was not started yet, so we have to shift everything there. Now we are working there actually. So it's not back in the normal routine we are used to do.
No. It's going to take, I'm assuming it's going to take months or years to get back. Years.
Years, of course. Because we may have to demolish some part of the hospital, and the new buildings have to come up, and it will take some years, as you know. And it's the same thing with the whole country, you know. People, they are like short-term problem, like they don't have shelter for now because it's good. The rain is going to come in very soon.
The monsoon
is coming in very soon. They need temporary shelters. In long term, they need their permanent houses. So we have to find our place to help these people how to get back to their normal lives. It may take a few years, at least 5 years, I guess.
At least 5 years. Some analysts have been saying also that at least 10 years, at least a decade. Ada, I want to ask you, you're very passionate about Nepal.
Yes.
Clearly you've spent you've had many trips over there.
Yes, absolutely.
When were you there last?
I was during the earthquake. I was there. I went there 3 weeks before the earthquake to do some work that I've initiated in educational project and health projects in a remote village in the far west corner of Nepal. I was actually on a horseback, so I didn't really feel the earthquake when it really happened. But then the day after the earthquake, we came back. I was with a Nepali friend of mine who's also part of our team, Shrestha. We came back to Nepal, and obviously it's trivial that the only thing you do ever since is just help the situation there. And that's what we were doing just 24 hours a day.
And I want to ask you the same thing because, I covered the Haiti earthquake as a journalist. And then I came back a year later to Haiti, I remember, just as a civilian, so to speak, to see that all the promises of help and all the promises of donations that people and organizations around the world make are kind of forgotten when it's out of the news. Do you think that's a situation right now in Nepal? What do people need to know?
I think so. I think that people need to know that it's the long-term struggle to recovery. It takes months and years, and this is where the help is needed. And it's important that nobody forgets, not a month later, not a year later, that it will still take a long time. And I just wanted to add a note that there's a lot of national monuments, huge national monuments that are presenting the foundation of the country, like Kastamandap in Kathmandu, all the temples around Hanumandoka that were destroyed to the ground. And these need this is a long-term reconstruction and conservation project. It's a UNESCO World One Heritage Zone. They need, at the moment, it will take a long time to even start to reconstruct, but they need a lot of help in shoring and covering. The monsoon are coming in. The mud between the bricks will be washed out.
Right.
It's hundreds of years of heritage that are going to go, and this is really where we need emergency help for these monuments. This is another aspect of
another aspect of it that's very important. Dr. Parash, I know you spoke about the medical aspect of it and obviously the people, but Ada, a very valid point, and you also have an organization that is actually calling for people to possibly donate and help in many ways, shape, or form. If we can actually take a look at the clip that describes what Dr. Ada Gansach and the architect and the Nepal Specialist Organization does, let's have a look at that clip. Dr. Parash, Shrestha, with us still in studio. As we saw, obviously beautifully edited clip, and
we have to thank Erez El Toel, who helped us.
Who did that for you, and I'm happy. But Dr. Parash, I want to go back straight to the point when you said, and you're right, the monuments and whatnot. You came here specifically to try and help the medical situation in Nepal, because I think also after earthquakes, what people forget, it's the diseases that come up from the lack of sanitation, the lack of infrastructure. What else? When it comes to the children of Nepal, I think that's the thing that bothers me the most. What is needed?
If you really talk about the children, most of the children are really traumatized by this. Psychological aspect is there and the physical aspect. Some of them has amputations, some have got some problem, like even I saw some spinal injuries as well for the young kids.
Right.
So what we really need to focus is, first, they are orphans, where they needs to be focused, and even the children who are with their parents, we need to put them back to the schools now. The schools are not opening, you see, but the government has given the time that they're going to open next week, but most of the schools, especially in the village, is completely destroyed. I don't know how they're going to start the schools.
Yeah, and when it comes to human trafficking of children, that's the thing that also usually happens at the end of a devastating situation, such an earthquake. What is the problem with also criminal factions coming in and taking these children and trying to traffic them out?
Well, I don't have first-hand experience about that. I have heard about it in the news, but that may be a possibility that's happening because this is the place where all these people get more active.
Get more active, and because there's nobody to really police or actually deal with that on the ground. Dr. Ada Gansach and Dr. Pardon me, Parash, Shrestha, I want to thank you both for being with me in studio this morning. I think it's very important to make sure that we remember what happens to disaster zones a month after, and that this is the long haul. This is at least 5 or 10 years. And if anybody wants to donate, anybody who wants to donate, it is your organization also that can be donated to, right?
Yes, it's our organization. Actually, I'm not. Parash and Rajani are wonderful.
The Nepal Relief Inspiration, and I want to thank you both for being with me here. That's the information on the screen.